So tomorrow marks week 3 of me being here in Peru. I came here to find solutions for the disadvantaged youth to help them create value in the 21st century in a sustainable way. It has been a huge leap for me coming to a foreign country, trying to start this social entrepreneurship venture. I've learned so much so far, and I've also been extremely scared, which is why I'm creating this post, because I think we glorify the whole idea of being fearless instead of acknowledging that there's a lot of people out there doing really cool stuff and doing really brave stuff. But most of us are really scared throughout, feel really clueless throughout, feel a lot of self-doubt throughout. And I think if we shared that more, instead of trying to appear that we know what we're doing and that it's all good, then we could really create a strong community where we help each other a lot more. I've been extremely scared. I have had a lot of self-doubt. I felt like I'm gonna jump off a cliff. But I wanted to share how I've been dealing with that, like the 10 things that I've learned, 10 insights that I've gained in dealing with this fear, because it's part of a process, kind of. But I don't want to take it to myself. I don't want to feel ashamed of my fear. I want to acknowledge it, share it, and see how we can share different solutions and different ways of coping and working with it. Because at the end of the day, it's just an indicator that we're doing something brave. So the first one that I learned is to breathe. So I very often forget to breathe. It's just part of the whole anxiety thing. And my yogi in Miami taught me that when you're like that, you'll notice that your gut is clenched. And what you have to do is become aware of that and just let go. And when you do that, your diaphragm can expand, letting your lungs fill up, and you'll have more oxygen flowing through your lungs, which means more oxygen flowing through your brain. Because what happens is less oxygen goes to your brain, then you feel like you can't think as well as you usually do, and that goes into a vicious circle of more anxiety, or at least that's what happens to me. So number 1, don't forget to breathe. Number 2 is understanding what I just said. And I realized that I'm not the only one winging it. I'm not the only one clueless. I'm not the only one that doesn't have any idea what she's doing. I just have to understand that coming to a situation and not knowing what to do is kind of like my interactive personalized curriculum. So now I know what I have to go learn. So instead of I went from not knowing what I don't know to now I know what I don't know, so I can go learn it. And it's continuing this mindset of continuous learning is pretty much the way I see it. Number 3 is adding to that learning thing. It's a lot easier if you write things down. So outsource it from your brain. When things are bouncing around in your brain, it's very hard. So what I do is that I journal, I reflect, I journal, and I evaluate. So since by evaluating, by putting it down and then looking back at the process that I took to take a certain decision, and then seeing the results of that decision, I can learn if that process should change or not, if that worked or not. But if it's all in my brain, it's very hard to remember. So journaling has been incredibly helpful for me to understand how I'm doing, to look at myself objectively, my emotions, my actions, my decisions. It's a lot easier if it's on paper. Number 4 is to not be afraid to ask for help. That's something that I personally have had trouble with in the past, not necessarily in work sphere. So don't limit yourself to, work decisions or work stuff, right? So I usually don't have a problem asking for help when it comes to work, because I know that, I'm a recent graduate, I have so much more to learn still. So I try to continuously look for people that know more than me. But I struggled asking for help on the emotional side, and this has been a very emotional transition for me. And I didn't ask for help right away. And once I did, and I activated my group of friends, my very close group of friends that are able to help me with these kind of stuff, they gave me resources, they gave me support, and I felt a lot better since then. So in any way that you feel like you need help, don't be scared to do so. Again, you're doing something really brave. Acknowledge that, celebrate that, and just celebrate also that you have a circle that can support you. The next one is figure out how to manage your energy. So for me, I realized that because this is very scary, and because obviously you're doing a lot of new things and I'm doing a lot of new things, it takes up a lot of energy. So I have to figure out how to maximize it. So I've learned that, if I wake up in the morning and I do 10 minutes of yoga and I meditate, my whole day changes. I'm a lot more energized. I know that I'm much more productive in the mornings than I am in the afternoon, so I try to do the heaviest work in the morning. And it's just understanding how you work, whether you're a night owl or a morning person or something in between. It's just kind of doing that reflection and understanding how your energies work best and making sure that you do the right actions to maximize it. So that you're always in a good state, because when you're not in a negative state, that's when all the negative thoughts are easier to come in, and you don't want that to happen, because then it's just harder to battle and it takes more energy, and again, it's another vicious circle. Number 8, I think 6, is something that my friend Tara taught me, and it's this simple question of, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? So if you're doing something really scary, just think, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then think about what's the best thing that can happen. And you will notice most of the time the best thing that can happen is tenfold better than the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is usually not that bad. So for me, the worst thing that can happen is this doesn't work out and we have to start from scratch, try a different angle, or I just end up back, worst thing that can happen, I end up back home in Dominican Republic with a clean slate. And I mean, that's that. And then it's just about starting over and acknowledging that, and that can happen, and accepting it, and just moving forward, hoping for the best. Usually the worst thing won't necessarily come around. Number 7 is don't attach your self-worth to results. So that's something very personal to me as well. But I've talked to different people, and I know it's something that they struggle with as well. If you fail, you didn't fail, this failed. That doesn't make you any better or worse. It's actually, I see it as a win-win, because whatever happens in whatever it is that you're launching yourself into, you are learning, and you will walk out of that a more experienced, more learned person. And I don't see any way of losing in that. And that has nothing to do with your self-worth. That has nothing to do with my self-worth. And that gives me a lot of peace when I remind myself of that, because I tended to attach my self-worth to my achievements, and seeing that I am more than that, that doesn't define me, then it makes me braver, because now it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and what I'm valuing, what I'm putting most attention to is the value of courage, and that's what I am. I am a courageous woman trying to do something amazing. The next one, I don't even know the number anymore, is don't forget to live in the now. So what happens to me is that I'm so on like, oh, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done. And I'm thinking of the next thing, on the next thing, on the next thing. And I get a lot of anxiety when things are not happening as fast as I think they should, that I forget to realize that, hey, that dream you had, that big project that you wanted to happen, you're living it right now, you're working it right now, enjoy it. It's going to be a process, but don't forget to enjoy that process, because it is a beautiful thing that we're trying, the scary thing, right? So we should enjoy it. Number 9 is make sure that you have a good circle, a good inner circle. People that are going to support you, people that are going to be there for you, people that, are going to push you and tell you that you can. I honestly wouldn't have been able to do any of what I've done so far without that circle believing in me. And make sure that you don't lose connection with them either. So sometimes we feel like we're very busy and we don't make time for them. And the reality is that these people energize you. So make time for them, because they are a priority. They're in there fighting with you. And that's really important. We all need that connection. We not all need that push at a certain moment. And if you keep it constant, then you won't have to wait till you're like down here to get a super push. You can get tiny pushes, if you know what I mean. And finally, just don't forget your why. Don't forget why you started this, because that will keep you going through anything and everything that comes along. That will take you away from distractions. For me, I could have had, a very comfortable life back in Dominican Republic. I had all the opportunities and all the doors. I could have made a good money, good life. I had business opportunities thrown at me while I was at home, but they weren't what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to make an impact in education, and that's something close to my heart. I feel like I've been very blessed. I acknowledge my privilege and I want to use it to share opportunities with other people that don't have the same privilege I've had. And I can't forget that, because the moment I forget that, then it's easy to fall onto the more comfortable path. So just don't forget why you started. Don't forget why you're doing this. Don't forget why is it that, you know, this thing sets your heart on fire. Just don't forget the why. I mean, those are my 10 insights of facing something that has been really scary for me and kind of going into it anyway. I hope that all of you that are doing something that scares you, it doesn't have to be super big, but just by daring, that you'll share how you've gone over getting over that fear and how you dealt with, you know, what did you tell yourself to keep going. And I congratulate you, because there's a lot of people out there feeling very scared and doing things that scare them anyway, and I think we should share those more. Not only our milestones, but the struggle that we're going through to get to those milestones, because it's easy to say it when it's in the past, and we see a lot of people that, oh, I went through that, but it's a lot more powerful to see people that are going through the struggle at the same time that you're going through the struggle. Peru is going great. We are going to be working with more schools next week, and I hope to keep all of you updated with this amazing journey.